morning. It takes so long to click on and actually tell me that I am live. So that's why I sit there and try not to make too much of a funny face while I'm waiting. Good morning. My name is Julie. I am the owner and founder of Lady Faulty. You are either watching this video on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, which is actually called Lady Faulty's Light Healing. Sorry I was a little late this morning. I was running late. No excuse besides I didn't really want to get up out of bed. So today we're going to be talking about throat chakra tools. I work quite a bit with my throat chakra. My throat chakra is often blocked or not opened or underactive, however you choose to refer to it. So it's something I work on quite a bit. So it's kind of hard for me to sit and do a video and tell you what to do to unblock your throat chakra when I'm still working on that myself. But I can, tell you where the throat chakra is and the fundamentals about it, which was what the video was about for 2 weeks ago. Last week we actually did a craft for Litha that I was really happy with. You can't really see it, but it's hanging on the door right there. As you can pretty much see is the stick, but that's the garland that we made hanging up on the door right there. So, but the Thursday before that, we did the fundamentals of the throat chakra, and that was basically where it's located, what it's, what it does, if it's overactive, underactive, all those things. So you can go back and watch that video if you'd like. Sorry, I just had someone trying to say they were trying to get into the event and they were looking for a link. And there's no link. You just go to the event and it will come up there for you. So it's not a link that's going to take you to YouTube or anything. So I was just trying to message her back at the same time so she could get in if she really wants to get in. So just one second. Just go to the event and then discussions. All right, so hopefully she finds it. I don't know if I should tag her in. Sorry. Just if she's trying to get in there, I'd like her to get in there if she can. Let me see if I can just tag her real quick. I don't know if it'll let me because I don't think she's on my friends list. Yeah, it's not going to let me because she's not on my friends list. So that's not going to work. Anyhow, let's just keep going here. Hopefully she will find it. If not, I can always share it to her later. So, anywho, throat chakra is your Adam's apple. So if you kind of feel around with your finger, you can feel where it is. On men, it's usually a little bit more dominant, so it sticks out a little bit. But sometimes on us women, it's hard to tell where it is. But if you feel around, you can feel it there. So that's where it is. And so today we're going to talk about some of the things that you can use to work with if you are trying to balance your throat chakra. Because sometimes not everybody's is blocked or underactive. Sometimes your chakras can be overactive. And so, either way, because some people think, oh, my throat chakra is really open. And it's like, well, that's kind of more overactive, and that's not really where you want to be either. You want to be at a nice, balanced, aligned space with your chakras. So it's not a matter of mine is open more than yours, or how much can I open up my chakras. It's more about being balanced and being all in alignment. So let's start in. One of the first things we usually talk about for your tools is your goddesses. And so I've got two that you may want to work with. And again, I don't expect you to run out and buy big statues of these goddesses or deities or whatnot. So one of the things I do recommend is just go to Google and type it in and find a picture and print it off if you can. If you can't, make them your screensaver on your computer. Make them your screensaver on your phone, your wallpaper, whatever. And work with them that way. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a big altar space or whatnot. One of the ones I work with all the time is Freya, and I just have a little picture here of a representation of Freya that I just leave right here all the time. So it's not a big statue or anything like that. It's just a little picture. The other I work with is the Mother Goddess, and so that I do have just a teeny little statue that I've got. So they don't have to be super big or expensive pieces, but really you don't have to buy anything. If you've got a printer or access to a printer, just go to Google and put their names in and print off a little picture. And like I said, if you don't, just make it your screensaver, your wallpaper, whatever, you know, just something that you're going to see to work with that energy. So the first goddess is called Veritas, and I'm not, again, sure that I'm actually pronouncing any of these correctly because no one has taught this to me. This is all information that I have read, and it's hard to always know pronunciations when you haven't actually heard somebody else say that. But it's Veritas. She's a Roman goddess. She's the daughter of Kronos, and most of you have probably heard the name Kronos. He is the god of time. So Veritas is the goddess of truth, and she's the goddess of past, present, and future. And she can also be known as an oracle. When you are a goddess of truth, you know, you tend to see things as they are and not how people want them to be or whatnot. So she kind of was named an oracle, and because her what she would say was so literal, and because it was the truth as it was, not the truth as you may have wanted it to be. So the other goddess that I wrote down is a Greek goddess, and again, I'm not really sure that I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Aletheia, and it's Aletheia. Aletheia. Aletheia, maybe, I'm not sure. She is also a goddess of truth. So Veritas is the Roman goddess of truth, and Aletheia is the Greek goddess of truth. And she is more of, let's see, things not hidden, so to speak, kind of a truth. She's more of a figurative instead of Veritas is more of a literal. So there's a little bit of a difference in them, even though they're both goddesses of truth. Aletheia is not always between the wrong and the right, but kind of what is in the depths of in between there. So again, she's not really black or white. She's more about the gray. So it's a little different versions of the truth, but they're both goddesses of truth. So, and that's one of the things that your throat chakra is about, is speaking your truth. So, for the major arcana, I actually have two if you wanted to work with them. One is Justice. I do not have a regular tarot deck, so my tarot deck is a little different. So, but I really love my deck. Justice is one, and Judgment is the other. So those are the two cards. If you wanted to work with the major arcana in the tarot deck, those would be two good cards to work with. So Justice and Judgment, because that's, you know, about the truth. And again, that's kind of what your throat chakra is about, is speaking your truth. So those are going to go, I have little clips here, so those are going to get hung right up right here. So I can work with those for the time being. So Justice is the represents outcomes and decisions and kind of the mundane mortal kind of world stuff, where Judgment is more of the higher calling to the truth and the higher order of things. And Judgment is kind of about the rebirth through reflection and redemption. So, but again, both good cards representing truth, and so those relate back to the throat chakra that way. Sorry, I've been really dehydrated lately. I don't drink enough water. All right, moving on in my messy desk over here. So, moving on to the rune. And again, I'm not sure I'm saying these correctly because, again, nobody has actually taught this to me. These are all things that I have just read. But the rune, and it's A-N-S-U-Z, Ansuz. And again, I'm totally probably botching that for you. So it is the rune of communication. So it's a very important one for your throat chakra. It's transmission of information and truth through wisdom. So those are all directly related to your throat chakra. It's also the rune of Odin. But, yeah. I'm going to be making some pendants, some clay pendants, and I was going to put some runes in a few of them, and so I think I'm going to put this one in a pendant and maybe wear that for myself for a little while. One of my many, many projects that I have not got to yet. But I've got the clay. I just got all these little necklace pieces. So it's just a matter now of doing it. And I had the little things you glue on to the, I don't know what they want to call, the little thing that makes the little hole that goes on the chain. I don't know what those are called. But anyway, I think that's one I will make for myself and maybe wear that for a little while. Because the throat chakra is definitely one that I struggle with on a regular basis. So, moving over to gemstones. All right. One of the ones you can work with is amazonite. So I have a little amazonite heart here. And this is for truth and confidence. Another one you can work with is angelite. It connects you to your guides. My piece of angelite is over on my altar space over there, so I don't have it right now for you. And turquoise is another good one. Oh, that's bad. The camera does not want to show that piece. Right there, you can kind of see. Anyway, turquoise, it's a purifier and a healer. So, you know, if you're trying to speak your truth, purifying is kind of, you know, I don't know. That makes sense to me. I don't really know how to like necessarily explain it to you, but to me, if I'm trying to speak the truth, I want what I'm saying to be purified, to be pure, I guess. So, and you can kind of see that these are like the same color. So those would be throat chakra. You know, if you really want, a good thing to do is when you're meditating, or even if you're not meditating, just lay down and put it on your throat chakra and just kind of sit there for a little while with it and stuff. That's why I do wear a lot of mine around my neck. I mean, they're not really on my throat chakra, but I do, you know, wear a lot of, can't find it now. So I have my blue stones that I wear around my neck. So, but these, so amazonite, angelite, and turquoise are good ones to work with if you want to work with some stones for your throat chakra. All right, so moving on to herbs and oils. So there's quite a few. And again, you don't have to, I'm going out of focus here. Come on, come back. All right, I'm going to just keep going and hopefully it will correct itself here. The herbs and oils, you don't necessarily, I'm just going to give you the list. You don't have to have them in both forms. So if you have one of them in an oil form and one of them in an herb form, you can certainly work with them that way. There are a ton of ways you can work with herbs and oils. You can just wear the oil. So if you have one of them and you want to wear it, I usually just put a little bit of hand cream, or you can use jojoba oil, but I usually just put a little bit of hand cream in the palm of my hand, like a dime size, and then just a couple of drops of the oil. Rub it in and use it however I'm going to use it, or wherever I'm going to use it. So you can use it that way. You can put it in a diffuser. You can take the oils and mix them up and make yourself a nice little anointing perfume. You can burn them on anything on your charcoal disc, herbs or the oils. So if you wanted to use your charcoal disc and you had a couple of herbs and a couple of oils, you can just put the herbs and then put a couple of little drops on the charcoal disc. Don't get too caught up in how to use it. You know, you don't have to make it super complicated. This is driving me nuts that it's all blurry. I don't know how to like refocus it here. I think it was trying to focus on something else. And so yeah, don't get too caught up in like, how am I supposed to use this, or when am I supposed to use this, or anything like that. Just use it when you feel called to, and use it however is best for you. And I tell people that all the time. I'm like, this is how I use it. That may not be the way you prefer to use it. So, and I try to give a bunch of suggestions so people can use it the way that works best for them. I love to have mine in essential oils and wear things. I'm always mixing up things. If you look at my desk, I've always got these little bottles of things that I am constantly blending together for things, you know, for different purposes. And so that's the way I like to work with them. But you really can use anything you really want to. So I'm going to go over the herbs and oils with you. And I just thought it would be really good to just kind of maybe smudge a little bit this morning, since I'm just talking about burning things here. Get that going. Let that sit for a minute. All right. Never a bad time to smudge. All right. So the list is pretty long. You don't need all of them. If you have one or two of them, that's great. If you want to go out and buy some, go for it. You can always go to a local herb shop. metaphysical shop. You can even like go, some of the stuff you can probably find in your tea section or your spice section. I've gone to the tea section and found tea and worked with it that way. So one of the first ones is coltsfoot, and that is for love and visions. And I drink coltsfoot tea. So I bought a bunch of loose coltsfoot and some little tea bags. You know, they're just little things that you open them up, put the tea in, and then pull the string. So I work with that quite a bit. So coltsfoot is for love and visions. That same coltsfoot that I have for the tea, I could easily put that on my charcoal burner and burn a little bit of it that way if I wanted to as well. I could sprinkle it in my bathtub. Unfortunately, I don't have a bathtub big enough to really do that in, but if you have a nice big bathtub, you could just put the hot water in and then sprinkle some of the coltsfoot in the water. So again, don't get too caught up in, like, oh, it's tea. Think outside of the box for different ways that you can use these things. Another good one is blackberry. So that's for protection and prosperity. Now, blackberry is one of those things like you can use the oil, blackberry oil. It's a little trickier to find, but you can find it out there. I wouldn't recommend putting a blackberry on your charcoal disc. It's going to make a hell of a mess. But, I mean, simply you could just eat them. It doesn't need to be like some big complicated process. You can simply just eat blackberries, and that's gonna help you. Elderberry is another one. Sorry, I didn't tell you. Blackberry is for protection and prosperity. So for me, when I'm thinking of prosperity, it doesn't necessarily relate to money. For me, prosperity can be an abundance of anything, whatever it is you're looking for. So if I'm looking for speaking my truth, I want an abundance of that. And so that would be how that relates back to prosperity. For me, anyway, that's kind of how it works in my brain. So elderberry is protection and healer. So that's going to be healing that throat chakra. If you have any kinds of trauma around that that you need to be working with, you could work with elderberry because it's a good healer. I've got sage, which is what I just lit. And again, it's healing and grounding. So sage, again, is going to be working with any healing energy that you may need around your throat chakra or any of your chakras, around any kind of trauma that may have happened that is causing that blockage that you may have. Lemongrass, as again, it's a healing. It's more for healing broken hearts, but it is still a healer. So you could certainly use that as well. I've got bay leaf, and that's for psychic power. Again, but that's kind of pulling in that truth, wisdom aspect of it. So that's how it kind of ties in for me. Eucalyptus is cleansing, uplifting, and healing. So again, the cleansing and the healing is what you would want to use it for, because again, you would want to be healing any trauma, but you'd also want to be clearing out anything in the chakra that's not serving you. So again, that any kind of negative energy, trauma, anything like that, you'd want to be cleansing it as well as healing it. Blue chamomile is calming. So sometimes when we get very anxious and things, our throat chakra can kind of pick up on that. Throat chakra is one of those ones, and I said it in the video of the throat chakra fundamentals, is the throat chakra is really, really tricky because it is one of our main sources of communication. I mean, we do have body language and eye contact and things of that, but really our voice is our main communication. So many of the other chakras of what is going on with us and our emotions and all kinds of other things affect how we communicate. Another thing is our brain gets in the way a lot of the time, and we overthink and overprocess and overanalyze. Um, and So that all ties in and gets really messy when it comes to the throat chakra, because it's not simply the throat chakra that you have to kind of work with. Um, there's so many other things that go with the way we communicate and how we communicate and why we communicate the way we do. So it gets really kind of tricky and messy with the throat chakra, which is, my throat chakra issue is related to a root chakra issue. So they kind of go hand in hand for me. I have to kind of work on both of them to keep them balanced and aligned. So the throat chakra for me is like one of the hardest ones, because it's how, like I said, it's how we communicate, and how we communicate is not just our throat chakra. It is all of the chakras, you know, tied in there. So it can get really kind of tricky and messy. And I think, like I said, that to me, the throat chakra is one of the hardest ones to work on, just because so many other things go along with it. So eucalyptus was cleansing, uplifting, and healing. So anything that's that cleansing and that healing, is really, I think, important when it's working with your throat chakra. I mean, it can be used for any chakra, but, use them how you feel called to use them. So people will say, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? And my answer is usually yes, because if it's in your head, it came to you for a reason, and that's probably the way you need to do it. People have asked me things, and I'm like, no, you don't want to do that. you know, but that's not normally the case. Usually, my experience with it is, when people ask me something, is like, if that came to you, however it came to you, if you read it, you saw it on Facebook, somebody told you about it, whatever. If it came to you, it probably came to you for a reason, and it's probably meant for you to do that. But again, a little word of caution, because sometimes people will tell you things that are really kind of wonky and not necessarily good for you. But the herbs that we work with and the oils that we work with are pretty good. One of the biggest things that I do tell people is not to do, and again, it's very controversial. A lot of people will say you can, and there's no issue with it, but is to ingest essential oils. That's not something I would do. I don't recommend that you do it, just because so many essential oils can be not real essential oils, or sometimes there's such a high grade of essential oil, by consuming it, you may be causing yourself some real nausea problems and digestive problems and things like that. Again, there's a lot of people out there that do ingest it, and they don't have any problems with that, but everybody's different. And so the one thing I usually do tell people, no, don't do that, is comes to ingesting essential oils. But other than that, usually, like I said, if people are, oh, can I use this way, or can I use this way, or can I use this stone for this purpose? And I'm like, if that's in your head, that's come to you for some reason, that's probably what you need to do. So next on the list is blue chamomile. I think I said that already. Sorry. That's calming your nerves. So that's helping with any kind of anxiety or stress and things like that. Blue yarrow is, again, it's clearing energy and repairing. So again, it's on that healing and clearing kind of aspect of things. Peru of balsam it's going to help align your chakras. So it's a good one to use pretty much for anything. My signature blend that I make has got balsam of Peru in it. So it's one of my favorite scents. And I'm not just saying that, like, it is one of my favorite scents. The tree smells, pine, fir, all those ones, moss, oak, are like right up there for me. So I love all the tree smells. So Peru, balsam of Peru is again for aligning your chakras. So it's a good one for aligning and balancing. Fir balsam, it's going to help you be present in the moment. So again, it's not really directly for your throat chakra. It's more about just being present in the moment and not, and kind of like out of your brain space, I guess is the way I would say it. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about what's going to happen or what might happen or what could happen or if I do this, what's going to happen. And because trust me, my brain goes there sometimes too, and does all those crazy weird things. So it's just going to help you be more present in the moment. So I wrote down real quick, if you wanted to make a really nice incense blend, I would suggest the eucalyptus, the bay laurel, and either or both of the balsams. So Peru or fir would make really nice little incense. So if you want to use your charcoal disc, if you want to make an oil blend, or again, if you have some of it in charcoal, some of it in herbs and some of it in oils, you can still put all that right on your charcoal disc. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. You can mix it up. All right, so we've got a few minutes left, so we'll go over the planet, which if you guys have been watching my videos and following me for a little while, you won't be totally surprised that the planet that's related to your throat chakra is Mercury. And right now we are in Mercury retrograde. And usually I do pretty well when Mercury is in retrograde. And one of the reasons that I normally do very well is because I'm aware of it. And I know what's coming when Mercury's in retrograde. I know what to expect, and I'm prepared for it. So when it happens, it doesn't throw me for a loop. It doesn't throw me off normally. Not this week, but the week before, when Mercury first went in retrograde, it did kind of it got me a little bit, and I had a couple of days that were not so great. Miscommunication was up there, misunderstandings was up there, and yeah, and so I had to like remove myself and bring myself back into my own space, I guess, I don't know, and get aligned and balanced, because I was way out of whack a couple of, well, it was like I said, it was the end of last week, so about a week ago. It was a little crazy for me. And so Mercury retrograde threw me for a loop, even though I knew it was coming. So again, don't beat yourself up if those things happen, or if you have, setbacks or whatever. Spiritual work or personal work or inner work or whatever you want to call it, isn't going to be perfect. It's going to be messy and there's going to be setbacks. But the biggest thing is that you just keep pushing forward as you can. So, I had a setback. I finally figured, I finally dawned on me. I'm like, oh my God, this is Mercury retrograde. This is not me. And I had to, take a little time and process and balance and all that. And then, kind of came back and was like, okay, I wasn't perfect. I'm never going to be perfect, but I was still a little off kilter, but I was like, okay, I'm going to push through this. I know what's going on now. It's not me. It's Mercury retrograde, and we're going to just work through this and get through it. And so, yeah, last week was really, I had like 3 or 4 days that were pretty tough. Excuse me. And so it happens, and we just have to push through and acknowledge what's going on and process it, and just keep going, because we're going to have those little setbacks and those little things that are going to happen. And so, excuse me, that water, I don't know what's going on there. It's like sitting right here. So it happens, and we just have to deal with it. But anyway, the planet for working with your throat chakra is Mercury. It is the planet of communication. Mercury was the messenger of the gods. When Mercury is direct, communications should be swift and easy. Now, those of us that are working with our throat chakra and other things, communication is not always swift and easy for us. I struggle quite a bit with expressing myself and expressing my feelings. I can sit here and talk to you guys all day and not really have any problem with my throat chakra, but then if I have to start talking about my own feelings and expressing myself, and I don't do well. I pretty much just zip it up and don't talk about it and keep it to myself, and because the other way it comes out is anger, and it's not always pretty when it comes out. So that's, again, related to my root chakra and some things going on there. So but for most people, when your throat chakra is aligned and balanced and Mercury is direct, communication should be fairly easy for you. When it is in retrograde, like it is right now, it went retrograde on Wednesday, and it's going to be in retrograde until July 17th, I think. So yeah, it was like a little over a month that it's going to be in retrograde from start to finish. So when Mercury is in retrograde, one of the things that I usually tell people is don't sign any contracts. So don't buy a house, don't buy a car, things like that. Don't, it's hard when you're planning things, but, I wouldn't suggest signing a marriage license during retrograde. Lots of people do, but, I just think if you can avoid that time, then that would be better. Don't do any big financial stuff, business dealings, things of that sort during retrograde. The other thing during retrograde is, again, that's going to be the time of misunderstandings, miscommunications, and so again, as far as relationships go as well, just kind of try to keep that in the back of your mind. So when somebody says something, what we are interpreting the meaning as may not be exactly how they meant it, or the way they said it might not be really what they meant to say. So just keep that in mind, because that's pretty much what happened to me this last week. Is some stuff got said and I internalized it and took it the wrong way, and beat myself up and was really hard on myself and upset and depressed, and yeah, it went dark really fast. And so I had to, like I said, I just removed myself, spent a couple of hours by myself, processing, breathing through it, working through it, and coming out the other side. So so Mercury is in retrograde. But if you want to work with your throat chakra, and you want to work with Mercury, again, you can't see Mercury. I suppose one of the things you could do is maybe buy a sphere that might represent Mercury for you. But again, you could just put it up as a screensaver, wallpaper, print a picture of it out and work with it that way. You can be really creative. Make yourself some sort of little pendant that represents Mercury for you. all kinds of things you could do to work with Mercury energy. So doesn't, like I said, you don't actually have to go out and spend lots of money if you don't want to. If you want to, then go ahead. That's great. But you don't need to. These tools, again, if you don't have a tarot deck and you want to work with judgment or justice, again, Google it and, and then click on your image tab up at the top and it will give you some images. And again, you can print them out, put them on your screensaver, your wallpaper, whatever, on your computer or your phone and work with it that way. So you can certainly work with those kinds of energies without having to spend any money. The herbs and oils, you can obviously have to buy them somewhere. The rune, again, you could simply just draw it on a piece of paper, and work with the energy that way. I saw one girl had taken just like a little 5x7 frame. She puts the runes in the frame, but the frame is like, she really did a nice job. She has little gemstones on it. I think there was some twigs on it. She had it painted. So she really made the frame like a nice frame for her representation. And then she just changed out she just wrote the rune. She did it very nicely. It was very pretty. She did the rune as a drawing, and then changes out the runes for the frame on like a little altar space that she had, which was kind of a neat idea. So you can go get a frame at the dollar store and some white crafting paper, drawing paper, and make yourself a nice little frame and work with it that way. Again, you could put in the frame, it doesn't have to be just the rune. You could take a picture of one of the goddesses. You could take a picture of one of the tarot cards and a rune and make a nice little collage. That would be really cool. Maybe that's a craft we will do. So again, find ways to work with the energy that you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money if you don't want to. Do have just a few minutes left, so I'll go over the archetypes real quick if you want to. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. These are usually ones I just have at the end, so if there's time, we go over them. If we don't have time, then I don't. But the archetype is the guru or the seeker. Sorry. So if you wanted to work with those kind of energies, you could. The guru, G-U-R-U, guru, represents enlightenment. So again, that enlightenment, truth, all go together. And then the seeker, again, and the seeker is the seeker of truth and wisdom. So again, really good energies and to work with for your throat chakra. So that pretty much wraps that up for us. If you got any questions, any comments, certainly put them in the comments, or sometimes you guys private message me. That's fine as well. I don't mind that. If you wanted to private message me, that's perfectly fine. I would really love it. So if you guys could give me some thumbs up, or if you don't like it, you can give me an angry face, I guess, or sad face, but some thumbs up or hearts. Love to know that you guys have popped on and watched. That's the alarm telling me it's time to finish up. And sharing is, if you could share the video or share the event. I'm going to upload this into YouTube, so you could share it from YouTube if you wanted. The power of sharing is amazing. I had 2 or 3 people share the crafting event that I did last week. And normally my event gets seen by the people in the group, which is, about 400 people. And because of those 2 or 3 people that shared, it was seen by almost 5,000 people. And I got like 35 new people that are following my page now. So that's like a big deal to me. You know, my page is not in the thousands or anything like that. But you know, it was really amazing for me to see that 35 people had joined you know, had liked my page last week because of just like 2 or 3 people sharing. And like I said, the event at the time normally gets, you know, like a lot of people see it, but not everybody clicks on the interested or going. And the one last week had almost 60 or 70 people that were clicked in, either interested or going. So again, just taking 2 seconds to share something is amazing how much, you know, it gets viewed. And it's not just about the views or just about getting out there and stuff. It's about getting people that are interested to get to the page, so that's something that they can now watch these videos. They can now you know, chime in, have questions, share, whatever, you know. So, and I really find that, you know, people will find it when they need it, but again, if we could just help along a little bit and do some liking and commenting and sharing of the videos and the posts, it would really mean a lot to me. So on that note, I am going to head off to my muggle job because I have muggle bills and I like to buy things. That's the biggest. I like to buy things and I need money to do that. So I will see you guys all on Monday for our weekly forecast. We go over anything that's coming up for the week, astrological, holidays, season changes, lunar cycles, all that kind of stuff on the weekly forecast. So we do that every Monday morning at 7:30. And so I will see you guys then. I hope everybody has a really good weekend. And remember, be kind. Your kindness is not only going to improve your day, it's going to improve somebody else's day. And really, it potentially could change somebody else's life. And it's kind of contagious. You know, you're kind to somebody, and then so they are kind to somebody, and then hopefully they are kind to somebody. And it keeps going. So. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything to be kind to anybody. So lots of love. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. Bye.